There's a strange kind of silence that follows you when you learn to hide who you are. Not the kind of silence that soothes, but the kind that tightens, that coils around your voice until you forget what it once sounded like. For most of my life, I've been careful, too careful, always scanning for signs, approval, judgment, the invisible nods or frowns that told me whether I was being the right kind of person, the kind that fits, the kind that blends, the kind that makes everyone else comfortable. I think I started doing that earlier than I realized. I remember in grade school, we had this interpretative dance performance. It was a cultural thing, a ballet-infused number meant for a school festival. I actually liked it. The rehearsals were awkward, but exciting. The music stayed in my head for days. There was a part of me that felt light, unburdened, like I was moving in a way my body actually wanted to move. But then, they said the performance would be public, that my parents would be there, that classmates would watch, and suddenly, that lightness collapsed into panic. I backed out quietly. No one really asked why, and I never really told them. But I still remember the shame that sat in my stomach like a stone, like I'd done something wrong. By enjoying something that didn't match the version of me others had in their heads. Later in high school, we had to write a short play for Filipino class. I'd recently watched a local film that moved me deeply. Anak, you've seen it. And I thought I'd try writing something in the same spirit. Honest, emotional, real. I stood in front of the class and started reading. And then, my voice disappeared. The words I'd written suddenly felt too soft, too vulnerable, too exposed. I laughed it off, mumbled something about it being just a draft, and sat down. But I remember that sinking feeling again, that I had overstepped some invisible boundary. I had made a mistake of showing too much of myself. By the time I reached medical school, I had almost perfected the art of editing myself. I watched Glee in secret during exam week. I imagined musical numbers for school presentations. I once even choreographed a dance for a class project, but pulled back last minute when I saw the sideways glances and awkward silences from classmates who just didn't get it. It wasn't that these things weren't allowed. It's that they weren't expected of someone like me. A man, a future doctor, a serious person. So I kept folding myself smaller. Until eventually, I couldn't tell whether the person everyone saw was someone I had created or someone I had abandoned myself to become. And what's strange is, no one really told me to do that. Not directly. There were no rules written on a wall. No flashing signs that said, hide this part of you or else. But shame doesn't need a billboard. It whispers. It creeps in through the things left unsaid, the compliments that are really warnings, the laughter that sounded too loudly when someone steps out of line. I let shame guide me. I let it choose which parts of myself I was allowed to keep. And I wore those edited versions of myself like armor. But armor gets heavy when you wear it all the time. And somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to move freely. Then I came here to Canada. A fresh start, a blank slate, and the silence started to shift. Not all at once, not loudly, but slowly, like ice thawing. Like the first breath after holding it too long underwater. And I began to ask myself, what was I so afraid of? Why was I ashamed of the things that made me feel alive? The things that sparked joy, even if they didn't look like anyone else's version of joy. Why did I let others people's imagined discomfort dictate how much of myself I was allowed to show? I wish I could say I found all the answers. That I'm now this fearless version of myself who dances in public and rides openly and never second guesses anything. But the truth is, I'm still learning. I still catch myself shrinking sometimes. Still feel the sting of old shame, trying to remind me of its presence. But now, I talk back. Now, I catch those moments and say, I see you, but you don't get to decide anymore. Because the older I get, the more I realize that hiding doesn't protect you. It only delays the ache. And it builds the life that feels safe, but hollow. And I don't want hollow anymore. I want to live a life that feels like mine. One where I can write stories and cry when they move me. One where I can dance if the music calls. One where I can say, this is me. Even if it confuses people. Even if it disappoints them. Especially if it sets me free. When I think back to the little kid who wanted to dance, or the teenager who wanted to write, or that medical student who just wanted to bring a little music into the silence of his world, I feel something rise in me. Not shame, not regret, but compassion. Because all he wanted was to be seen without being punished for it. So here I am, still figuring it out, still reclaiming what I buried, still learning that being different isn't a defect, it's a direction. And if you're out there, carrying your own quiet shame, wondering if you're allowed to love what you love, let this be your permission. Let this be your reminder. You don't need to fit into anyone's version of normal to be worthy of joy. You just need to be brave enough to come home to yourself.